Okay. Okay, Roger. I'm receiving the connection. Roger. Yeah.
Bro.
Okay, so we've just talked about the previous sessions of the interview. The videotape that has been later on turned into a DVD and a CD contained 25 hours of the audio interviews with Bielak, Preston Nichols, Stuart Swerdlow, and Duncan Cameron and Larry James and the other ones who just like Bielak were taking participation and of the experiment, or more precisely were victims.
Bitching.
Inside the Montauk Project. Yeah, they were the victims because they were misused with the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
There are certain similarities between human animals and guinea pigs, but I guess that the guinea pigs are still smaller.
Yeah.
But later on, I will tell you more about the
I told you I had a guinea pig.
basis. I will use the opportunity to unveil to our audience that the secret U.S. government, meaning the deep state, is making the large, hyper tall, 2 meters or 6.7 feet tall rats who are made for for the purposes of taking participation in warfare. They hold the rifles in their hands, their right arms, the frontal arms or something. So it's a long story, but let's first make the point with our session regarding Al Bielak and the Foley experiment. So there was a special curiosity and a very interesting thing, that is represented by the disclosure of texts and drawings that have been discovered in 23 chambers of a cave in New Mexico, which cave, according to Bielak, is something that faithfully reflects the intergalactic world, the realms that he used to have the personal encounters with. So, more or less, this is a brief, a more concise, but nevertheless, the entire picture and the entire BLX story in totality. So sincerely, yet since the time of Eric von Daniken's, era, nobody has ever tried to offer such a firm, strong, solid attempt to turn us back into the pre-scientific era.
Yeah.
So there are two groups of people, right? There are ones who actually accept Al Bielak without any reserves, and who took him literally, who took him for granted. And those guys are ufologists, right? I belong to that group personally. I'm not naive myself, but I was researching the UFO subject, the ufology, and I myself am a ufologist for more than 20 years of my life.
Oh, wow. Same.
There's been a lot of books. Yeah, there's been a lot of books. The Barney and Betty case, Frank Herbert's books, such like the UFO A Serious Question, has been a radio host, and has been later on either murdered by the CIA or the CIA too, the deep state members, or instead, and rather, has been taken off as a hostage or as a guest to another planetary system by a UFO object, right?
Yes.
So and that's also to be talked about. That's also to discuss about. So
All right.
for the ufologists like you and me, there ain't no surprises,
Yeah.
and there is nothing new about the
Mhm.
the firmament, right? The celestial cupola, right?
Yes.
Allegedly. I'm joking because there is always something new to discuss and to talk
Okay.
about, right? So,
Yes.
according to the ufologists, Montauk Project
Mhm.
represents only one single from the bunch, a whole bundle of remembrances, memories on the long, uh, long distant and already happened intergalactic and interstellar experiences in the human history.
Hmm.
It tracks back to long ago. Not only into the first and the fourth dynasty of the Egyptian
Hmm.
kings, but far away from that. In the civilization, it sinks.
Hmm.
It goes as a plow deeply into the Atlantis civilization
Hmm.
that we've talked about, and that represents the baseline for our books on Amazon. So,
Oh,
people
just for our
like
audience.
Edgar, the sleeping prophet, like Edgar Case,
Mhm.
they were testifying, they were experiencing the pictures, the eidetic images of those intergalactic travels and voyages, and people like Wolfgang Reichenstadt,
Yeah.
who was born in Lviv, the president, the capital of the recent future Ukraine.
Uh,
They were also traveling in the UFOs,
Mhm.
the vehicles,
Okay.
traveling to interstellar systems
Yeah.
in inner spaces. So, and therefore, so the ufologists believe in a completely logical explanations, and the prophets instead, like the already mentioned above Edgar Case, the sleeping prophet, are in fact only the the pretenders who are the actual time travelers, the travelers through space,
Hmm.
not through time,
All right.
because we've already taught our audience that time is the constant zero.
That is correct.
They were the spatial travelers, not the temporal ones, but from the another realms, or from another planetary system, or from this planet to this very planet that we're still dwelling on, but from a facially removed momentum. So this is what we experience. This is what we try to explain to ourselves and to others when we experience an event, an emerging of a time traveler's visit.
Huh.
So therefore, because of our lack of knowledge, because of our little and small amount, relatively small amount of knowledge about the physics of cosmos and the universes, or the eventual existence of the parallel universes, the visitors say that are forced to lie. Where do they come from? Because they will usually and certainly definitely be mistaken and misunderstood, right?
Mhm.
And you know where those people end up when they claim, if and when they claim to be the alleged time and the deliberate time travelers. They end up where? They end up in the madhouse.
Ludnica.
They end lunacy. They end up in a lunacy house, in a penitentiary,
Asylum.
an asylum instead, right?
If you will.
So perhaps thus it would be more precise, more truthful and exact if we ask ourselves, from which facial momentum do they derive, or which facial momentum they derive from, to put it otherworldly, and not from which part of the universe they come from, which part of the universe they come from. But I personally, I stand for both of the assumptions. I ask myself, which facial moment in this planet they come from, and which part of the universe, of the parallelly, dislocated universe they got from. So maybe they are interested in switching of the temporal-spatial, the space-time momentum, right? Maybe they are interested in that as an experiment. Maybe they are interested to visit the places where the ancestors, where the predecessors lived, right?
Yes.
Like us. If yours or mine grandchildren come to visit us, probably they would say, look at those grannies. They're very interesting, but somehow primitive in a way, because now in the year of 2100, we have way much more advanced technology that their own techs were a children's toy in comparison with. Probably they will say that, and I will certainly be very happy to be able to travel and within the time space or the space-time continuum, because I'm convinced that we're about to experience eventually those kind of experiences. It will about to happen in our own lives. It's just as in a sci-fi movie, because we are living in a sci-fi movie right now. This is a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Our reality is a sci-fi movie. I'm eating, what was this called?
Yeah.
It's an African cockroach.
Oh, jeez.
I'm about to eat it though, right? Okay, you just wash away the other one.
Russian.
I'm joking. It's a date. Those are dates,
Oh.
The Asiatic dates, not the African cockroaches. But there are some humans who eat cockroaches, right?
Yeah, disgusting.
Africans do, Chinese do.
To je veoma odvratan.
Yeah. Beautiful. Dates are. Dates, fish, bananas, everything.
Bananas.
So, do we still believe to peoples such like Bielak as? I say yes. If they are not conducted, if they are not intentionally induced into the system by the deep state, meaning the CIA too, and the negatively oriented esoteric societies in the U.S. If they're not financed by the subsystem trying to transform this planet into a negative kind of matrix, I certainly do believe that. Yeah.
Okay.
So there are two movies. It's worthy of mentioning that there are two movies that have been made in the meanwhile, according to the real happenings and events in the Philadelphia experiment, right?
Yeah.
And those movies are the Philadelphia Experiment 1 that has been made in 1984. That's my year somehow. You know, the George Orwell
Somehow, that's
year.
the year you were born in, man.
Oh yeah, that's the year of my probably of the last incarnation of mine. Because when we achieve the physical immortality, there ain't gonna be no need for
So you're
any more
basically
further incarnations.
you're basically younger than my mother because my mother was born 1983 and you were born 1984. So
A
you're
little bit younger than your mother, yeah.
you're younger than her, yeah.
So that means that I could be your father even.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I met with your mother, but I didn't meet with your mother, you know. I mean, I met her, and she met me in the internet space, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we're friends, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But we'll meet.
One more time.
We will meet in summer.
We'll be, yeah. I mean, yeah. We will be in summer, but we already are.
Yeah.
Because we're mentally connected, and we.
So.
Can I? Of course you can. Yeah.
Anyway.
So I just want to say that the origins of the story about the Philadelphia experiment originated in late 1955 when Carl M. Allen sent an anonymous package marked Happy Easter containing a copy of Morris K. Jessup's book, The Case for the UFO, Unidentified Flying Objects, to the U.S. Office of Naval Research. So, you know, the book was filled with handwritten notes and its margins written with 3 different shades of blue ink, appearing to detail a date among 3 individuals, only one of whom is given the name Jemmy.
Okay.
They commented on Jessup's ideas about the propulsion of flying saucers, discussing alien races, and expressed concern that Jessup was too close to discovering their technology. So the story about, you know, the Philadelphia experiment is deeply involving the topics such like flying saucers, alien races, and so on. So
alien, don't forget alien race, not Aryan race.
Not the Aryan race, but the alien races. But instead, we can also put it this way, that the Aryan race, the members of it, are the actual descendants of the extraterrestrial races, right? Because we have the testimonies from people like Zechariah Sitchin and Eric von Daniken that the human race has actually derived, that it is deriving from 3 different galaxies. It hasn't been made on the Terra planet, the Earth, because it was sent to the Earth. You know, there was a great genetic experiment and intervention.
Right.
So even the Aryan race, or the Aryan races, originate from the extraterrestrial intelligences. If we just take a look,
Aryan race, the Aryan race descended or originally came from like India, I believe.
Oh yeah, from Enki. Yeah, you told the truth.
Yeah,
derived from the Enki. Yeah, so probably even the Yugoslavia-born, you know, and filmmaker and movie director and comic book writer named Enki Bilal, the author of the Immortal and other films. He's probably deriving from the Enki civilization because his name is Enki, right?
And it's strange because like Germans, they basically thought that the Aryans came from Romans. So that's very strange. I don't know why they think that.
One more time, please.
The Nazis thought that the Romans were Aryans. That's what they thought.
They started with the idea that the Romans are Aryans.
Upravo tako, that's right.
Uh-huh. All right. Oh, yeah. Well, that's because it was believed that the mutual contract and contact between Hitler and Mussolini was potentially very lucrative business to do,
Mhm.
right? So therefore, he didn't want to discount and to reject and to erase and eradicate, the romance in advance. Maybe he wanted to give them a chance to participate, to collaborate, because nevertheless, you have to have the ally